Welcome to this episode. Today we got a good one. Yeah, I'm with the usual cohorts, Jofu, Chris, Tina, and me. Today we're going to talk about consciousness.
Something that Joe's usually not part of.
So yeah, consciousness. What is consciousness? What does it mean to be conscious?
So it's not just awake and sleepy state. There's a whole more to this, huh?
Well,
No,
there is a
it's
whole
an
lot.
awareness. Yeah.
Oh my God, we said the same thing. Who are you?
You didn't just say shut the fuck up to him?
I know. Oh my God.
Wow. You're so calm.
Yes. So yes, it's an awareness. It's being aware that you are a being. It's being aware. But to what degree do we put the tagline of consciousness on, the life around us as well? Not just our life, but life around us.
See, I think consciousness is more of an awareness of that you are not just the being. That the being is just sort of temporary, but that you are more eternal. Your consciousness is more eternal.
So when the snake goes to eat the rat, and the rat gets out of there because the rat has some sort of understanding that the rat is it will be killed by the snake. Is that consciousness?
No,
That's an instinct.
That's an instinct.
Right.
Wait. What makes it?
Survival.
Because, well,
Does
it's
the rat
survival.
feel pain?
Does what?
Does the rat feel pain?
Yes, but that's a whole
So-
different. That's in a physical world. So consciousness is not part of the physical world.
Okay.
Consciousness is more of the ethers. It's more.
So if I get up and smack Jofu,
Has
and
nothing to do
and
with
I come back and
consciousness.
sit down, and then I get up again and walk towards him, he's not going to get out of the way?
It's my consciousness that
It's
tells me to punch him back.
But that's not consciousness. That's not at
It's your
all
conscience.
consciousness. That is more on a physical aspect. Your consciousness, your awareness is something that you know that you are not just this rented skin suit. You know that when this is done, that everything in this 3D world is temporary.
Yeah.
And your consciousness, or I like to think of it as your higher self,
Yeah.
goes on. So when you are about consciousness, and not everybody has the ability to kind of be part of their higher self, and get in touch with their higher self, but to know, and that's where meditation comes from.
So let me pose this to you then. If there was nothing, no God, no heaven, no hell, no higher plane of existence, there was just the flesh. You die, you turn to ash, end of story. Wouldn't humans have to create that image in their brain to make their lives have value and have purpose?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because, well, for one, think about...
If it doesn't exist, you would have to create it.
But I want you to think about that statement for a minute.
Yeah.
So you are a paranormal group.
Yes.
And so you investigate paranormal activity, no?
Yes.
So paranormal activity would be the evidence of something beyond the physical plane.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Which he doesn't always believe. He's the negative one.
So I didn't say any of that was a belief or a non-belief. I just posed
True.
a question.
True.
Okay, so scientific approach. You've got to test out hypotheses. You have to poke the sleeping Jofu.
Well, I think that's where you can look into the testimonies of NDs and these people who have experienced going to the other side, and these are people and there's a whole study done on this by a group of doctors.
Well, there's a study done by another group of doctors that when they put a specific type of helmet on your head and put all these electrodes and generating an electromagnetic field around the helmet, 90% of everybody who goes under that for that test has a vision of having their family greeting them that have been deceased, have like heavenly...
And what is this electromagnetic
It
helmet
affects parts of the
doing
brain.
to-
So basically what they're relating it to is that when you start to die, certain parts of your brain are stimulated to a certain extent and are causing these hallucinations or lack of oxygen and certain things going on, And they're stimulating parts of the brain that are
Right.
reproducing those stimuli.
Right.
Where people who are not dying are having visions
Right.
of another life.
But
or
also
something.
that can also testimony to shamans from tens of thousands of years who have used psychedelics to tap into the pineal gland, to tap into that other world.
So
Shamans that talk about going to the underworld to reach your spirit animal, something. There's another realm to that. So is it from part of our brain? But we were designed to always have that connection to our higher self. And that connection lies in our pineal gland, in our brain. So, yeah, we do carry that telephone with us while we're inhabiting this earth. Mm-hmm. But we never lose that connection with that higher self. But
I just think it's fascinating that we can recreate this.
Well, absolutely,
lab.
but shamans have been doing it for years. So
okay, so guys on drugs,
we're just reinventing the wheel.
Cavemen on drugs. I'm not
saying
I don't believe it.
Shamans, but there are shamans that don't use psychedelics at all. They use the power of
you ever read
the beat,
the teachings of Carlos Costanza?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. On those journeys.
Yeah.
Those pretty weird. By the way, I read. I don't know if you guys know, but there was like 2 or 3 books about his journeys with the shaman, and they're pretty interesting during using psychedelics to reach a higher plane.
Right.
So I don't just spew stuff out of my mouth. I have research. I've read the books on this. I've read the opposite approach as well. And I think to be a well-informed individual, you need to see both sides of the
right.
of it.
And
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Doctors that are doing this study for over a decade now.
Yeah.
And they have interviewed multiple, thousands, tens of thousands of people who've had NDEs. And a lot of them were all different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. Some were not religious, some were. And it wasn't even in the where the ones that were religious and the ones that weren't had completely different experiences. They were all very similar experiences. Yeah. And not only that, but a lot of them, these testings were done. These were documented cases of 0 brain waves. Like EEG was showing any signs of brain activity at all. And they were having these events happen to them. So I think a decade of studies like that. But then on top of that, you talk about, then you can have consciousness, all other things. If we're able to tap into that higher self, you're talking about things that yogis or Satgurus have been doing in India and Tibet for thousands of years, and they talk about this ability to be able to tap into that higher self, where they leave the physical body, they leave that state. Yeah. Or if you look at Tibetan yogis who are able to pick their time of death, they will literally lay down. There's actually a video on that. I'm not going to ask you to look that up. There was one Tibetan yogi. He was a Rinpoche. He wasn't a yogi. He was a higher. He was a Rinpoche, and he years and years of meditation, connecting that line, connecting with your higher self. And he knew it was time to go. He did all his teachings he had to. Yeah. And he went into that meditative state, laying down, and he stopped. He died. Wow. He left. Yeah. And they allowed this to be filmed in Tibet. Mm-hmm. And he actually, they choose it. They had that connection. So, these yogis are able to come back and forth from that higher state of awareness. They stay in that meditation state for days.
I feel that it's my role as part of this group to be the dick that says, where, listen, that's fine. And I don't.
And you play that role well.
Yes, thank you. I do my research, But my brain works in a way where I've seen things that would scare the shit out of people. I've seen things you can't explain. People in places they couldn't have been. I've witnessed and heard things of, paranormal. That's why I'm here. But I have that brain that also is very skeptical about what people say and what people think they saw or what they think they heard or what they think they experienced. Now, I pick apart my experiences. It's the same way. There's no bias. It's what did I see? How did I see it? Was something else going on nearby? Was there, whatever. I do just take the same approach. So don't take it the wrong way when I try to pick these things apart. But I also want our viewers to be informed that, not only do shamans been doing this for thousands of years, but there's scientists today that can replicate this in a controlled laboratory setting. So, you have to understand
only so far.
What do your beliefs exactly? Well, I wasn't there. I didn't, there are people that can slow their heart rate through breathing exercises down to just a couple dozen beats per minute.
Yeah.
So, and we know there's been clearly stories throughout history of people getting buried because they were dead and they weren't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Toe
So it's there's a lot of, let me tell you, humans are pretty fucking sketchy. So there are humans that do things for malicious reasons. There are humans that do things for good reasons. And there are humans who just fuck up. And, you have to pick and choose, and try to understand what the purpose of these people were. And it's just so murky because people are people.
Well, I think you could definitely do that. But I think when it comes to a random control study on this that's taken place over a course of 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty hard to say, it's sketchy. I'm not really sure. I mean, you talk about a random control, and these are people from all over the world who don't know each other's stories,
mm-hmm.
and
then maybe some of this is me trying to round out my beliefs as well by posting opposite opinions and opposite facts and stuff like that, just trying to weed out to get a better understanding for myself as well as for our listeners, And not everybody's going to believe the same things. Not everybody's going to feel the same way or see the same color when they look at something.
Yep.
It's just,
we did that shamanic journey at the sister's shop that time.
Yes. Yeah.
I had no idea that I could close my eyes and see what I saw until they did that with us.
Yeah, that was pretty right. I remember that. I forgot about that, but yeah.
Episode 2 of the journey. Check it out.
Yeah, and you didn't take any psychedelics
Not
or
at all.
anything.
I laid down on the ground. You guys hit a drum.
Right.
I went to sleep.
So the question,
into a sleepy state.
The question is when do we do the podcast on DMT?
You could talk about DMT right now. That's when it's naturally occurring in your pineal gland. People say, well, you have to take DMT, but it's naturally occurring in your pineal gland.
Well, basically, DMT and things like, ayahuasca, which is another naturally occurring drug.
Peyote.
Peyote. These things bring you to,
LSD.
Well, specifically with the DMT and the ayahuasca, people have serious religious, visions and meet God or aliens. It's very strange.
So
there's two major components to most of these experiences. It's God or aliens usually. And it's very strange. I haven't done it, so I don't know.
I've heard a lot of discussions about after people have taken part of either DMT or ayahuasca that they have a completely different
look on life.
They have a different look on life. They have a different
their lives have
awareness
changed.
of everything that's around them.
Yeah.
And
some people need 2 or 3 times to do it to actually get there sometimes.
But the whole thing is you don't have to do it. Like if people want to reach that, there's definitely a longer road to that, but a more natural one, which is meditation.
Vibration, sound, and meditation,
But either way, it's connecting you to your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think like your brain is part of your consciousness. It is not. Like you are not the body, you are not the mind. And that's why in like Tibet or when I was in India, they would call the mind the monkey mind because it would run away with anything you want to. If I told you whatever you do for the rest of this day, do not think about monkeys. You won't think about monkeys.
Yeah.
Everything in your mind will be monkeys. Monkeys. But it's true because we have to gain more control of the mind.
Oh yeah.
And when you have that control and you're able to get into that state, you can have that connection with your higher self, which is the consciousness. And it has nothing to do with your mind. It has nothing to do with your thoughts. It has none of it. It's incredible.
Yeah. We all are conscious. We all know that we're here. We all, do things that conscious beings do, for the most part. I'm not going to step further into the higher self part of it. I want to touch more on like
But that's what
the more common human aspect of it. No,
that's
no,
not
no.
consciousness then.
Why?
Because consciousness.
You know the people walking around like zombies, but they have
but
consciousness.
they're not. They
do.
They have a conscience.
Yeah.
But they're not aware of their consciousness. They're not awake.
Okay. So, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't think you need to be aware of your higher self.
Well, I mean, you don't
conscious.
have to be. You can
To
go
have
through life
consciousness.
asleep. You can go through life asleep. But who wants to do that?
Chris, what is consciousness?
I mean, the way that it seems like we're explaining it, or how it's feeling in this conversation, is a very like Matrix type look at it. Whereas, the people you have walking around are basically
Asleep.
and you've got these people who understand that there is something else out there, that they are in existence in a different way compared to other people, and those are, if you take it from the concept of the Matrix, those are the people who get pulled out and they go back and forth.
Yeah,
technically I go back and forth all the time.
Well, it's like drones running around with no free will. Like, they're just robotic going through life.
That's what, right, if you're asleep, right, in this 3D world. But when you connect with that consciousness, any way, shape, or form, it could be you have a meditation practice or whatever it is, you have a better access. Like when you use the term, the Matrix, manifestation is more readily available because you control your reality. You control what happens in your environment. So there is a lot more to the picture than just being here. And just being here, you're not a victim of random events. Like, you really do control events.
So when we take in the old adage that, well, somebody actually came up with this theory. I think, therefore I am. That's consciousness.
Right, but in what form of thinking?
Could be any.
No.
Well,
it can't.
Why?
Listen, just because you can think doesn't mean that you're conscious. You have to be aware of what is going on around you.
So what about,
it's not just what goes on in your brain.
We're not
it's what
here
goes
to
on
disparage
around you as
Jofu.
well.
So,
I was going to say, what about when you're sleeping? And your mind is racing and things are happening and thoughts are happening. And then when you wake up, all of a sudden you kind of remember some of the stuff that was going on. You had no control over it. But a lot of times you'll wake up and you don't know what
you have more consciousness in your sleep than you do when you're walking around.
Now, let me post something interesting. My father-in-law unfortunately just passed away. And the 2 nights after he passed away, he was in my dreams. Now, I don't know, was it because it was on my mind? Or was it because he came to me? I clear as day remember him saying to me, my son-in-law. And then he said something else, and I don't remember what that something else was. And the next night, he said to me, why is she not responding to me? And I think he meant his wife, because that's what it seemed like. Why isn't she responding to me anymore? And then after that, nothing for the next few nights. Now, granted, we were sleep deprived coming home from the trip from Arizona. I only got a few hours of sleep, and then we went to the wake. Then I went to sleep. Then that first occurrence happened. By the time I woke up, I remembered part of it. And I didn't write it down, and I should have, because I lost that second line. The next night, I did get some good sleep. I woke up, and then that was that second occurrence. My wife was like, I don't feel him. He hasn't come to me. I don't know why. I wish he would. And I had these, 2 things that happened.
Because her want for it so much is keeping her in this more dense. So it won't happen because he's lighter now. He's not of the density anymore. So
I would assume that there's some kind of shock when that happens too.
Well, he kept saying he was scared. He didn't want to die. So,
well, of course you are. Who the fuck wants to die?
Some people can accept it and want to pass on, and they can't because the physical won't just go. He wanted to stay. He did not want to die. And he was deathly scared. And I saw it in his eyes before we went to Arizona. I didn't think he'd be there when I got back. And he wasn't. He didn't last another few days. But with that being said, is he relieved of his pain? I believe so. Why did he come to me of all people? Maybe I can handle it. Maybe because he already knew I was into paranormal, that I would not get freaked out by it.
I think it was also because you were so exhausted that there was no room for your monkey mind to interfere and stop that transmission from happening.
Yeah.
And
I went into such a deep sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's like when people meditate, or even psychics talk about this. You know, you're devoid of the heaviness that the mind is playing on you, and you're more open to more information. So that's probably why he came to you.
Yeah.
You know, the more, that goes back to somewhat what I was saying, the more you think, the less you really experience.
So was that really a message from him, or was it my mind playing tricks on me?
No, because your mind was not, the mind was calm.
Yeah.
So it was a message from him.
So that's what I thought. That's what it felt like. Like he actually came to me. But like, of course, being the skeptic, like you would say, is it just my mind is upset that he died, and so I'm going to think of him. I'm going to think that something was said to him.
No,
but he looked like he was coming at me. Like it was like vision.
See, it didn't happen anymore after that, because now your monkey mind is kicking in again. You're getting more active. You have more energy.
Sure.
But at the time, you were in complete exhaustion.
Yeah.
So the mind was not kicking in.
I'm in complete exhaustion half the time, though.
Put the banana down, okay?
I might hit you with a banana.
Some of my best paintings, drawings, writings, they're all when I'm extremely exhausted.
Yeah, I believe it.
And it's because I can hyper focus at that point. There's nothing else.
I totally get that.
There's nothing else.
I work so much better when I'm totally bleh.
Right.
Because we get all hyper and nervous and excited and all that stuff. And then when you're just tired, you act and you do, and things are the way they're supposed to be without any.
But you're hyper
Craziness.
nervous as it is all
That's
the
what I'm
time.
saying. Yeah. But that hyper nervousness makes me excel. Realize
Right, but
I
on
know
the
how to
physical
harness that.
level. But if you were to say meditate in say you fast and then do meditation, like it's letting go a little bit of the physical constraints, that heaviness, that density, and you're able to kind of connect better. You'll be more, not that you're gonna, walk, on the clouds, but you'll be able to feel things quicker. You'll be able to pick things up. You'll be able to manifest. You'll be able to change your reality. Like that's what I feel like the purpose of our consciousness is our higher self chose to come here to have the experience, the physical experience, the emotions, the brain, everything. And
I'm going to have a good long talk with my higher self, because this is some bullshit.
well, but that's the whole thing. When you come here, you can either be swept in the tornado of all the energies, right? Or you can disconnect and get in touch with your higher self and remember why you're here and control. Like looking up from a bird's eye view almost to say, where is my life going right now? It's in a tornado. So I'm going to kind of just calm it. And I'm going to control my reality. I'm going to, but I mean, that doesn't happen overnight. But it does take exercise to do. But that's what consciousness is. And then when your job here is done, whatever it is you came here to do, because we all had a plan, and when you leave, you're reconnected again with that, your original self. You believe in reincarnation?
Sure, okay.
Okay, so you can't.
No proof of it, but
well, reincarnation.
I'm open to the idea.
Well, what about the little boy?
I would say yes, because I've seen those stories of the kids that pointed at the buildings in 9/11.
Exactly.
I died in that building.
Or how about the little boy? They actually, there was this little boy. He was about 5 years old. So he's had night terrors, terrible, and he jumped. And he was crashing in a plane. Turns out that he was a fighter pilot in World War II and died in a plane. And the parents found this out because he would draw pictures of the plane and he wrote his name down. They looked it up, the name. There actually was, this boy was 6 years old.
Yeah.
There actually was a man by that name, died exactly that same way, and he wrote down what his wife's name was, everything. He remembered everything.
That's crazy.
This little boy.
Yeah.
Yes. And he reunited with an old war buddy. And the old man was like in his 90s, and the little boy was like 7 years old at the time, or 8 years old. And they met up with the old war buddy, And he was telling him, like he was able to point out the things his war buddy had of his. He was able to point out what was his. How about the Dalai Lama? The Dalai Lama, every Dalai Lama says, I am going to...
I don't, it's like, wait till the kid picks the right thing. And they show the kid like 20 objects. And the one kid, because there are going to be like 6 kids that come in and don't. And they're just, okay, get out of here, kid. And then one kid just picks up the right thing.
No, they have to pick up several things.
Yeah,
they have to pick up several items. And it's a lot more items. And the Dalai Lama comes back, they look, and he always chooses to be born back in Tibet at the time, before the exile. And this Dalai Lama, they would go when he was like 2 years old, and they go by the time frame of the birth, and they bring him and they lay out the old Dalai Lama's belongings, and some other belongings from other monks or whatever. And he has to pick every item that was his from his past life. And they know that's the new Rinpoche.
Yeah, I don't know if I
But that is consciousness. That is consciousness. Reincarnation.
I think that's tradition, though.
But how does he? If he gets it all right, how do you debate that?
I've seen.
It's not by chance if it's 7 items out of a bunch of things.
I've seen some stories about this where they try to point out how they get the kids.
They don't, because that is such a high position to Tibetans.
Yeah.
One of the highest spiritual positions. They don't, because they want to find the real Dalai Lama. Because when the Dalai Lama grows up, he has a certain knowledge that's since the 1400s.
Yeah.
He has that memory. He has that knowledge that only the Dalai Lama holds. And every Dalai Lama has proved to have that knowledge.
The racy Lama.
So you can also...
I'm glad you all see it.
Yes.
I want to say that you can also have a play on consciousness. Because we dealt with something that, to me, was not what it seems. Now, what is the title? What is the title of that show that we did that one night in Arizona? What was he? He was a mentalist.
Oh, mentalist.
He was
I recall that.
supposedly a mentalist.
That's just mental.
Just mental.
He came in and he really, yes, I've seen mentalists that it all works out correctly because of mathematics. And it is a lot of mathematics in most cases.
Are there pre-questions before it goes on?
Is that like statistics on steroids?
Right. So now, in this case, I was quite curious because I paid a lot of attention.
Yeah, I was paying attention too.
And I saw certain things and I felt certain things. And in the back of my mind, I was constantly saying, he's not doing anything.
But what was he doing?
But it wasn't him.
Yeah.
It was the girl that he brought with him. She was consciously sending information to people. She did a lot of weird things. She stuck at our front of house position with us. And there was certain things that she did. Her entire job was supposed to be to trigger music for him.
Right.
But
and bring me my clipboard and bring me
right,
this.
bring me this, bring me that. I need a pen. Do this, do that. But if you watched her and you watched her outside of your mind, you watched consciously, you saw this information needs to go to this person. This information needs to go to this person. And it was a play on things moving around. And I'm watching all these things move around to the different people.
Energetically, you're speaking of.
Energetically. And then you'd see an energy go to him. And then he'd be like, oh, you over there. Pinpointing out the exact person that she was sending this energy to.
But then how did he know?
Because she sent him the energy afterwards.
So, but again, that's still, even though you call it a mentalist, it's still consciousness. It's still your ability to, because think about it, we are exchanging energy all the time. And this is what you can get caught up in. Let's just say you wake up one day, you're depressed. And you have no reason to be, right? So why am I depressed today? Why am I feeling so depressed? You could be picking up on someone else. Someone else's. So that's why energy is so real. And people poo-poo this, but that has a lot to do with you still have, that's consciousness. That's your higher ability to transmit and receive. And that's where you have to just, meditate.
Now,
Not have
at
the head
face
in mind.
value, I kind of believe in that, because I've witnessed it myself. I've been part of things like that. But sometimes it's easy to be fooled. If you don't know how it's done, it's magic.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and it's only magic because you don't know how the magician is doing it.
Well,
But when we take time to learn it, we see that it's not
It's
magic.
trickery.
It's
not,
sleight of
not
hand.
even
Sleight of
well,
hand.
It's illusion.
right. Well, what they were doing was
Right.
was trickery because it in plain English, it's just be aware of your energy. You can like if you walk into a room, you can't tell me. I don't care if you're a psychic or not. If there's a group of people who just were fighting with each other, now they're quiet, and you walk in that room, you can tell me you're not going to feel that.
Yeah.
Of course you'll feel that.
Yeah.
It's energy. So, and that's your higher self. That's your consciousness going ding, 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 ding. Shield, block off the energy, change it.
Yeah.
But we get sucked into that stuff because we have a monkey mind. And our monkey brains they're so dense. If you don't have the meditative training or just disconnecting.
You know what I think got us to this position as humans? A bunch of monkeys were sitting around, and they started picking up the fruit that was rotting,
And they were fighting over the banana.
and they would eat it. And because it was fermenting, it's called the stoned ape theory. And then they learned, picking up certain mushrooms. And that's how our brains started to develop. And I believe in evolution.
I don't.
I believe in evolution.
I
Why
know,
not just
we
get
had that
a
whole
mental
caveman
picture
talk.
of him with monkeys doing shrooms.
I don't. I don't.
exactly what went
You
through
know
my
why?
head.
Because our DNA was tampered with about 200,000 years ago. You
I
cannot
saw that
explain.
movie.
You
I saw
can't-
that
what
movie. Prometheus.
I never saw that movie.
Yeah.
You cannot explain
Wasn't
how
very
we
good.
went from Neanderthal, and there's
No, no,
proven
no, no,
theory.
no, no, no,
there's
no.
proof that Homo sapiens lived among Neanderthals.
There's proof that we lived
They-
along 7 or 8 others.
Okay, and
Yeah.
where we come from? It wasn't evolution because we
Why not?
didn't. The theory was we came from apes, but yet
No,
then there would be.
no. We don't come from apes. I misspoke in the previous podcast, and I've said this on another podcast.
Ancient civilizations.
We do not come from apes. We develop a lot of a lineage that apes and us diverge from. So there was a species, and we come off the left side. Apes come off the right side from a species, primate species.
I believe you did say that. You did speak.
And basically, the part of that first few lineages off that major line were lemurs and other things. And then they divulged where lemurs went one way, apes went,
Because then
and
you
we
can
went.
show a timeline of
Well, we
the
kinda
evolutionary.
can.
So you can't.
Why?
Because there's to this day there is no way nobody can find
Well-
out where Homo sapiens came from. We just dropped in.
Did you stutter?
We just dropped in.
So we're
What
the
happened?
aliens.
We're the aliens. We are.
No, but we right now, scientists know that there are at least 25 to 30 subhuman species, some type of homogeneous.
Right, but
That-
about
that
100,000,
all
200,000
lived-
years
some
ago,
of them lived together, some of them were distant.
when Homo
some of them,
sapiens sapiens dropped in,
Yeah,
Homo sapiens.
she stuttered again.
No, it's
No, I
You've
know.
heard
I
it.
know.
Okay,
You're funny.
please, you were scaring me.
Yeah.
Our DNA was tampered with. It was spliced and re-put together.
I just think it was.
That created us.
I just think, okay, because we know several of them. I say Denisovians. It's Denisovians.
Denisovians.
Yeah, well, the scientists say
Oh, I
it a
know the
little
word.
differently. They pronounce like 2 syllables more or less, whatever. So the Denisovans, the Neanderthals, and us were at least all alive at the same time. So if you take that same type of scenario where 3 or 4 of these species are alive at the same time and they start interbreeding, then you start popping out humans like us. That's pretty much how it happens. So we know that we have some, especially Australia has Denisovian. 6% of the Australian population has Denisovan DNA. And a lot of major populations throughout the world have Neanderthal.
Okay, so we're talking the interbreeding.
Wait. Let me just finish. So the interbreeding starts to pull the best of Jofu Cro-Magnon and Chris Neanderthalius into a human species.
That's why everyone thinks we're brothers.
And Steve Sapiens, and they combine, into a
yes, folks, he's serious.
What DNA does is it weeds out the bad parts. After a certain amount of time, your DNA has parts of it that are not in use. That it just ancient.
And do you know with that DNA that they call junk DNA is not actually junk DNA?
No, I don't think it is.
If you're talking like even if I was to entertain the thought that we intermingled with Neanderthals or whatever, which is possible, I think there is some proof of that. However, I believe Homo sapiens sapiens were around before that, and I'm going back longer than that. I believe that we come from a race of people that were much higher, that we were at a higher level. We were the advanced civilizations of Egypt and Atlantis and Lemuria.
Well, that's not that long ago, so yeah, we are.
It was a long time ago. And we were the advanced civilizations.
You're only talking about less than 20,000 years ago.
No. Longer than that. I'm talking
the pyramids are
500.
The pyramids are 20,000 years old.
Are you out of your mind?
I don't think
Do you know that they did testing on the Sphinx alone,
which is 15,000 years, roughly. Some people said, and some people said 7,000 years.
It is not 7,000 years.
5,000 years ago, it was a lush plains.
You're talking over 20,000 years just on that alone.
Okay,
because
now go
they
to
showed water damage on the side of the Sphinx in the middle of the desert, which was more than 20,000 years ago.
They're saying that Phnom Penh, I forget. I looked into this.
This is that moment.
Danang.
Can we get a fucking pronunciation for this word?
I don't know what he's trying to say. Dung.
This is Metatron, and you're listening to The Journey with Dark Odyssey.
All right, so let me get something straight here. So what you're saying on the outsides is that back in the day, bestiality was okay. Right?
What?
What?
What? Gunung Padang.
Species.
Gunung Padang. Gunung Padang. The world's oldest pyramid. Gunung Padang, located in Indonesia, is believed to be the world's oldest pyramid. And
do you know that regular science still says the pyramids are only 7,000 years old?
No, they say it's 4,500 years old.
Whatever. Do you do know this is all? That's.
I think there's a question as to whether it was older. Yes, I do believe that there's some.
I think that we're a lot older than
the water damage on the Sphinx alone in the desert.
Well, that just puts it back to when the Sahara wasn't a desert. Puts it back to when it was
exactly
a temperate zone.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is only
about
5,000 to 6,000 years ago.
But that's not 5,000, 6,000 years.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
Every
not.
5,000 years, it flips. It's in the record. Every 5,000 years, it flips from lush green to desert back to lush green.
Of the Sphinx.
Is that when the poles flip too? Is that the same?
No.
That's every 21,000
because then you're going to get into
years
it. If you even talk about Vedic astrology, and according to Vedic astrology, they go by the Mayan calendar. Everything's in 5,000 year cycles, but that is not what changes the weather patterns because the weather patterns is 10 to 15,000 year cycles. Hence, the last ice age was about 11,000 years ago.
11,600 years ago, we came into what we are in today, and technically, scientifically stated, we are still in an ice age at this point. Still.
Well, then we're all going to burn to hell.
We're still in an ice age.
We're not in an ice
The
age.
planet
Yes,
is
we are.
so warm.
Yes, we are. We are
No,
still in
we're
an
at
ice
the
age.
warming phase, which is cyclic. It happens it's a cycle, and this warming phase happens, and then right after the warming phase, the trajectory of some of the oceans, the direction shifts and turns, and it forms, and that's what causes like ice ages.
You said 11,600 is when the last one was, right? That's what you're saying? That's what I'm trying to confirm. You said the last ice age was 11,600 years ago. Right?
About 11,000 years
Well,
ago.
we started coming out of
And the
it.
cycle is...
All right, the Sphinx
15,000.
water erosion hypothesis
About 11.
So we're not
Dr.
in the ice
Robert
age,
Shaw.
we're coming
Pretends
up
that
on
the
one.
Great Sphinx
Correct.
of Giza and its enclosing walls eroded primarily due to ancient floods or rainfalls, attributing their creation to Plato's lost civilization of Atlantis over 11,500 years ago.
Look up Dr. Robert Schoch. SCH.
That's who did the study.
Yes, I know. I read the whole fucking thing. I know.
Then where are you getting 5,000 years from?
Because he's not a fucking crazy man.
No,
he's
he
scientifically
said
driven.
over 11,000 years.
And they look at him like he's crazy, by the way.
But that anything that's new and debunks the way these.
Yes, I agree with you on that. I definitely agree. But he's saying it's like if it's older, but he's not saying it's 20,000 years.
Most archaeologists believe this Sphinx was constructed at the behest of Khafre, a pharaoh of the Old Kingdom's fourth dynasty,
Khufre's
who reigned
father.
from
I even know
2520
the
to
fucking-
2494 BC.
The pharaohs.
However,
Khufu, Khafre.
in the early 1900s, American geologist Robert Schoch, along
night,
with
good night.
American writer and ancient Egypt enthusiast John Anthony West,
Yes.
claimed that the
West is
Sphinx
dead
was
now.
built at a time before the rise of Egyptian civilization, perhaps between 7,000 and 9,000 years ago. Others hypothesize even earlier dates. These ideas are regarded with disbelief and derision by most mainstream scholars.
Yes. And that's.
Give it time.
I spent my life teaching this, and this is how I make my money. So if you say it's different, I'm not going to be able to teach it no more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. And to some degree, I do believe that. But also to some degree,
But I
taking
think
something
that
that could be 7,000 years old, which is not mainstream ideology, and then, well, I'm not going to say it's 20,000. It doesn't
I think
seem
it's
fit.
even farther than that. I think that we are the ancient civilizations, and we were
Yeah.
dumbed down.
Well,
Back to consciousness. Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
I was about to say, we got so lost. Back to consciousness. I'm Canadian.
And we are becoming more awake now. We are reaching that golden age again and learning our true history. We're learning about the different worlds that are out there, which we had that knowledge once before. But we
believe
went
everything
into
on
well, listen, I believe.
an
You believe
amnesia
everything on the
phase.
internet.
No.
You just showed me something that says we're in an ice age.
Yes,
Just
we
to
are
prove your
technically
theory.
in an ice age still. Okay, so ice ages happen, right? Well, at some point we start coming out of them, but because that we think, I think, and some other people, not mainstream, that we had some asteroids or comet strikes that caused us to get out of that, caused all the flooding. We know the seas rose 400 feet. I went through this on that whole other podcast. That we warmed up a lot quicker because of the force of the comets or asteroids hitting us, and it caused a warming to happen. But technically, we should still, be a little further behind in the process. It didn't happen naturally. It happened because of asteroid strikes, possibly.
I believe that we're coming out of Kali Yuga
Bless you.
and going into the golden age.
Good name, Penang.
Banan.
Well, they say that one is possibly 20,000 years old. Yeah,
My
listen.
conscience said that.
I think you get answers if you get in touch with your higher self. Because your higher self was around for all of this.
The last ice age was believed to have ended 11,700 years ago,
Yes.
which puts us in the geologic period or epoch
Interglacial.
known as the Holocene epoch.
Yes, it's also an interglacial period. but we were forced out of
It's
it.
called the Holocene Glacial Retreat.
Look up Meltwater Pulse 1A and 1B.
Who? What?
Meltwater Pulse 1A, Meltwater Pulse 1B. They're separated by 1,200 years or so. All of a sudden, the seas rose. Well, yeah, I know. We get off subject.
Apparently, we
You're
never
right.
finished ancient civilizations, so we had a problem with that.
Well, we just got into it, and you know.
Our conscience said to do it.
I think our consciousness, you've been around for all of this. And if you get in touch with your higher self, which is your consciousness, then you will have all those answers.
If you send me $59.99 a month, I will teach you how to get there.
Why stop there? Go for 100.
I would be terrified. Terrified. I'm sorry, Joe, but I would be terrified if people paid you to teach them.
Church of the Funds.
Man.
Oh, do we have any more contributions to this subject?
Well, I think consciousness is being aware that you are alive, I believe, to a certain extent. And, you know, are your dogs conscious?
Yeah.
Yes.
But the rat wasn't.
Who said the rat wasn't?
No, who said
You
the
did.
rat wasn't?
I said,
she didn't.
if
You
the
said
snake
there's a rat
is eating the
still
rat,
She
No,
said that
you-
the rat was aware, not that he wasn't
You said
conscious.
the rat knows it's dying, or
yeah, so that's consciousness.
it's not.
That's
so-
awareness.
You said
It's
that
awareness.
action was
It's-
instinct. We were saying,
Right.
talking
It's
about the action.
instinct. It's
Yeah.
no. It's everything that is all the laws of the physical world.
Okay.
You play a part.
So I could swear that you meant that the rat had no consciousness.
Nope.
No.
It
I
didn't
understood
act,
what she meant.
it acted on instinct to get away from the
Thank you,
snake.
Chris.
Well, I thought that's the point you were pushing, that that's instinct, so it doesn't have consciousness, is what I thought you meant.
No.
No, you have it. You have
You
instinct.
cannot not
But you
have
have a higher
consciousness to a
consciousness.
certain degree.
But
Plants
does
have
Jofu have
consciousness.
instinct? Nope.
So let's just say your instinct would be to whatever, block the water, but maybe not. But your higher self is beyond that.
Uh-huh.
Your higher self has nothing. It's just watching the
Well-
game that
well,
your physical body's
So
playing.
animals have consciousness too. Is where I'm going with
Yes,
this.
and animals actually are more in
plants?
tuned
Do
with their
plants.
Yes.
consciousness.
Plants have consciousness?
They do.
Every
Yeah.
living being, every sentient being,
Worms? Everything?
every sentient being.
Well, that's where you start to lose me.
Why? Because you
Why?
think sentient beings are not beings?
'Cause-
Worms are not sentient beings?
Because, listen, I was going to push the thoughts of, well, some animals are conscious.
Animals, yes.
Yeah.
About plants? I
I
don't know about that
I
one.
don't know about that one
Do they
either.
have a brain? Is it possible for them to have a higher
I mean, we're
consciousness?
starting to learn new things, how plants.
So I need to sit there and think that my plants
start
fucking hate me now?
communicating
Like-
and stuff.
Correct.
It's not like Treebeard, like, oh, hobbits, and all that.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from a perspective of the physical mind.
Yeah, I
So,
guess.
but
Well,
you-
to be conscious, you need to be aware. You
Right.
need to be aware
Is the
that
point-
you're alive.
No, to be conscious it's beyond. It's a state of being.
Yeah.
It's your higher self that doesn't have this brain. It's a whole state of being where
And animals have this.
animals are even more in tune with their consciousness. Yeah.
Probably. Because they don't have monkey brain to get in the way.
I'd love to know what the fans think. What do you people think? Let us know. Because I'm kind of intrigued where I'm thinking that consciousness is human thing with some of the higher intelligent animals,
Where is
I-
that division line? Which animal has it? Which
Yeah,
one doesn't?
like,
If you're going to say that.
and does that reflect along the lines of what animals we eat and don't?
And then going back to that reincarnation.
which is kinda weird,
Can you
too.
come back as a cat? Like,
Why not?
right? That's what, like,
Well, there
we're
are
opening up
some.
the
I
door
mean,
Well,
But
the
now you're going
Hindu,
back into reincarnation.
don't the Hindus believe you come back as a cow? Is that the best form of reincarnation is when you come back as a cow?
I think they believe some
someone's
of
steak?
their ancestors.
Joe came
did
back
come
as a
yeah.
horse once.
Was it once?
In the Tibetan Book of Dying,
Yeah.
the Tibetan Book of the Dead,
Yeah.
they talk about that when you go through a bardo state, when you die, and you have to navigate through this.
Yeah.
And or even in Native American, you have to navigate through that death walk
Okay.
in order to either go to the afterlife or come back. And other beliefs are if you don't, like this is the highest state, what we're in. So we don't know if our past lives, we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives. We don't know if we started out as a lower form.
And the purpose of that is what?
The purpose of that is to learn, experience, and grow and evolve spiritually.
But here's my thing, though. See, when you talk about reincarnation and the growth for knowledge or learning or stuff like that along the lines, I mean, at this point in our civilization, we're the most technical we've ever been, of course, and that's, every day it's like that. But if you just go back 10,000 years,
I think we're actually the dumbest we've probably.
Well, you want to get a discussion with lost civilizations and technology and all that. I'm all for that, but at some points, like just go back to the Dark Ages. We were farming grain out of shit. We had no higher intelligence. People were dumbed down. We had the plagues.
We still farm grain out of shit.
Yes.
It's just not our shit now. It's cow shit.
Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on the grains and all the extra GMO shit. I can get into that too. But my point is that if you look at the world and the population as a society and their growth, back in the mid 1200s, what were we? We weren't really conscious. We knew nothing. But they were conscious because they had consciousness. Nowadays, we are so technologically advanced. Thank you, Christopher. Back then, we weren't.
Right.
Okay? So what is the purpose of continuing to live lives from the past when you know if you're a higher advanced form of yourself, in the heavens or wherever this magical place is, why wouldn't you come to the pinnacle of society as opposed to living in pig shit in the 1200s or dying of the plague in the 14s?
I'm a little confused.
So if you're on a higher plane and your existence and you are able to reincarnate yourself through periods of time, why would you just go?
No.
To these periods
of
time?
That's not what I said.
There's
That's
no
not what I said.
But that's where I'm getting lost.
There's just suffering and carnage.
Joe, get this man coffee, please. Joe.
Can I have a donut?
I didn't say you reincarnate through different periods of time, although that is a theory. But since the darker ages, we've evolved spiritually. So, and as time goes on, and that's the whole point. So, when you're living in the year 1200, hopefully you were a good person or you learned or whatever, and you then go off and then you come back again. And it goes on and the cycle goes on until you're here today to learn. But so today we have challenges that still affect our awareness and our consciousness, and they could be even more challenges than there were in the 1200s, as primitive as they may have been, but they may have less challenges. I'll give you an example. In maybe 200 years ago, people didn't think twice about where they went when they died. People were not, most people, there were more people who weren't afraid of dying. They felt a connection. If they prayed, they knew that they were speaking to God or whatever. Whereas today,
I had a cab driver tell me that the other day.
There is,
I wish the world would end tomorrow.
What?
Yeah. My cab driver told me that the other day.
So, but today, there are so many people who don't believe in anything, who have no spirituality, have no belief system. They're dark. They're lost. There are more people like that today. So I think there's more of a challenge to get in touch with our consciousness. And I think yes, toxins.
There's more distractions.
Exactly. Even because we are so technologically advanced, we have created a little prison for ourselves here where we don't.
Well, to counter that, there were tribes in Papua New Guinea that still to this day don't believe in this. They believe their own way. Because populations all over the world.
They have a religion.
Yeah.
Okay. So they believe in an afterlife.
They don't believe in this higher plane stuff.
But that's their afterlife. That's the point I'm trying to make. Beep beep bum bum ba-dum, bum.
So, in the middle of all that, there was a voice over here.
Oh yeah, I heard it.
What I hear?
You didn't hear it, and it was close to you, over here, somewhere.
Sure, it was in my stomach.
No, it wasn't. It said words.
What is that?
And I looked at him, and he was like,
we have recordings going.
yes, we do. But I don't know exactly what moment that was.
What did you say? What did you hear?
It was indiscernible what the words were, but I distinctly heard.
And you heard it?
A male voice.
I heard a male
and it was
voice.
like
Right.
that, like a few words, and it was right here.
It was my spirit.
And
going,
I looked
"Listen
up,
to
I
her
looked at him,
voice."
and he was like, "Yeah, no, again, back to this place. I don't know if it's haunted, but there's things that float around here.
Yeah.
More haunted places are fun.
Yeah,
If a place wasn't haunted, it wouldn't be entertaining enough.
bust out the S box.
Joe, get the camera.
Maybe we'll see something on it. Maybe we won't.
I just happen to think, if you're aware that you're alive, that is consciousness. I don't think there has to be any more to it than, just being aware of your existence.
I'm aware
And maybe
that
that's
there's
just
another existence.
I am aware.
To hear something
I
your
just-
talking.
I just heard something.
I am aware of my mortality.
Yeah, and I think that's what consciousness
But
is.
it's
That's where we
not
started.
conscious.
Bro, there's something going on. There's something going on.
I mean, the AC was just on and now it's off.
Yeah, but
I
that's-
heard
that's-
murmuring of words with a male voice. That wasn't yours.
Is that what I heard then? Do you think I heard the AC going off?
That's a truck going by.
Still,
Still,
I
like,
just heard something. You may be aware. Maybe I heard the AC. I don't know.
well, the last time we were here doing a podcast shoot, there was other things going on. We went downstairs with the camera
Yeah,
because something followed you down the hallway.
you could sense it. You could feel it down there.
I felt something here, but
You mean like when something touched you in my store that time?
something?
You were just eating.
Didn't
donuts.
touch me.
That something had a name.
Murmured in my ear, and then your car when we were going to Fred and Renee's that time too. Something in the back seat started talking to
The
us.
Homer.
Me and Chris, and we looked at each other. We knew we both heard it.
Well, no, I looked at you because I was more just like, wait, you heard that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Hi. Yep.
Just saying.
Just
Still
saying.
lives on.
So, what does consciousness mean? Well, we have a few ideas on it. We all have our views. We all have our beliefs. And that's what makes us humans, and that makes us conscious humans.
It doesn't mean that anybody's wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Tune in next week when we go deeper into the subconscious. On that note,
Joe, put the subwoofer down.
I think we should end it here.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for joining us. Always remember to like, subscribe, please. It helps a ton. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter,
Share our
Instagram.
posts.
Share our posts.
Watch
That'd
our
be great.
videos.
Comment,
to the
talk
end.
to us.
Yes,
Talk
comment.
to us.
Talk to me.
Even if it's in the subconscious.
Don't talk to him. Talk to me.
Yeah, I might yell.
No, he'll listen.
I'll actually listen.
And then she'll understand. And then he'll yell again. And tell me to fix it.
Yes.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
That was
I don't
interesting.
know where the fuck some of that went to. Like, wait, hold on.
No, unhold.
Wait.
And stop. Stop that.
Lily von Stuck.
Stop that.
Steve, call Big Frank.
We ain't got that kind of time today.
No.
Actually,
You're off tomorrow.
well, yeah. Hi. So the effects of DMT only last about 10 minutes.
Yes.
10
And
to
it
15
takes 45 seconds for it to start.
I'm saying it takes 3 hours to get it here, though. That's the kind of time we don't have.
I know. what
Thank you, but
this
no.
is.
What is he gonna have it in the locker downstairs?
We can approach this conversation another time. Not when we have to get up at 4 a.m. tomorrow and have a long day ahead of us. But I would be open to it, but I'm not so sure. I'm out of the drug using phase of my life.
So describe it then. Tell me you.
Or we could just do the binaural beats with the drum, and you'll reach that same state. Most people.
Well, people do that all the time.
I know.
So basically, the
But
question
that's
at its prime basis is that what is consciousness? Without looking towards finding a higher self, or
But that is conscious.
what does consciousness mean to you?
I don't know.
Come on, really?
Said not to think about podcasts, so I'm not thinking about podcasts.
Who said that?
I'm kidding. I don't know. My mind is blank at the moment. Go to the next person.
Some of my best... Some of... Yeah. Ooh.
Wait,
Some of my
wait,
best paintings...
wait.
Panapad...
Oh, I know what you.
I got it right enough in the podcast.
It's in the
that's
South
TV.
Pacific, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what they found was a structure.
You talking about Peloponnesian?
No.
No.
Penang Peng.
No.
Penang. Danang.
Penang Don or something like
Yeah.
that.
Penang. Danang.
It's in the South Pacific. I can't.
Ready?
Oh my God.
Penang.
Racist energy is affecting my brain.
Penang
Dong,
Peng.
dong, 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 dong.
Dong, 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 dong.
That's what we're talking
All
about.
right, well, it's not this.
Well, it's bringing me flights to
oldest-
Penang.
The oldest structure in the world is in
Go back.
Tepe.
Yep.
Okay, but
Actually, no. The one in Turkey. Look up the one in Turkey,
Turkey?
they found. Yeah.
that's
Is it-
12,000 years. That's cool.
Is an archaeological
that's
site of
Kalahan-
a temple in
that's Kalahan
southeastern.
No.
This says it's in southeastern Turkey.
Go back to Taipei.
What's
Rice.
that?
Instead of looking at
11,006.
Google, look at some studies that are
I'm
done.
looking at scientific studies.
Undeformed. Here's a rice path.
Jofu. Yeah.
Do you have an adapter? Oh wait, yeah, we used yours. Oh, now it's broken.
Your mother's broken.
No, he's broken.
He's beyond broken.